Hi, I'm taking a new challenge. I'm just on a walk on the mountain. There's this area of Budapest that is really mountainous, and that's where I live. And I really feel like sharing some thoughts with you while I'm walking. Maybe it's gonna be annoying because the picture will keep moving, but maybe it will come out quite well. So it's just a try. Um, Today morning, I was like quite confused about an issue. Like people like to have a leading from the Lord about my life, and many times it contradicts the way I feel like. And I don't want to be arrogant, and I try to like talk about these things with the Lord and take them seriously. Maybe I don't hear God as well as they do, so yeah. But it was like a conflict I couldn't resolve, and I, instead of peace, I felt like more and more tension in me. So much so that I was like, okay, now I feel really terrible instead of the presence of God. And that's where this realization hit me. It was really forced to happen, this realization. And that was that God just doesn't control. It's not just like he's not controlling in a bad way. He is not controlling in a good way either. Controlling is just simply not part of his nature. And it kind of freaked me out because I always thought that God is like a good king, um, a kind way of being a dictator, or, you know, a nice, all powerful guy. Um, but he is just not like that. And we have made a God in our own image who controls. Like, if you travel on a bus and you hear people talking about their boss, how they would do the things and how they would manage this office better and things like that, we think we could do way greater things with much more power on our hands. And we imagine that God has all the power, so he should put everything in order. He should use his power to manipulate things in a good way. And we are upset when he refuses to do so. And he refuses to do so not because of lack of prayer and fasting, but because this is contrary to his nature. He's rather the good parent, the never worrying kind of parent who just lets their kids play on the playground, never hinders anything, but right at the time they are about to fall down and crack their heads, he is ready to catch them. Without worrying, without shouting, just ready to hinder their fall, without controlling their play. And this is kind of contrary to our beliefs about God, because we want him to be more bossy. And he's just not. And that was the scandal in Jesus' day. They expected the all-powerful God to send someone who just puts everything in order, who just puts the nasty romance in place. And he didn't. He just decided to intervene on the personal level of the people, dealt with their personal issues of healing and deliverance, and he was just hanging out with some illiterate guys and washed their feet. And this is the kind of God we have. Instead of manipulation, he humbles himself over and over again and gives up his will, his loving desire, and surrenders it to our choices, which is kind of scandalous. But he does it over and over again. When we are looking for God in a situation, we might find him on his knees, ready to wash our feet. Or ready to wash the feet of the whole humanity. Who messed up again? Who used their free will to do devastating things again? And he doesn't prevent our bad choices, even if it's bad for everyone, because controlling is not part of his nature. What would the world look like if God really used his power to control? It shouldn't look like that. But God just lets us have our way, lets us live. And he is not the kind of person who knows better. He knows better, but he's just like standing there ready to override all of his plans in order to give you freedom again. And he has thousands and thousands of wheels, and he is ready to produce a perfect wheel for your life at every bad decision you make. He is the kind of person who can lead you home from any point, like a good GPS. And instead of manipulation, he's rather someone who turns everything into good as he is, just because he likes making your stupid choices into something so good, as if it had been planned by himself, and as if it had been part of his eternal plans. Yeah, he has so many perfect plans for your life, and if you mess it up, there's another one. Of course, it's not worth it to flee from him always. But you can also not mess it up forever, I'm sure. Yeah, the reason why I'm telling it is that we made a God in our own image who is controlling, and we kind of try to use God in our way of manipulating things. And this is how we think God works. Like, he needs a partner in his manipulation business. And this is just not how he does life. He's just not. It's just not part of who He is. And our prayers are mostly trying to convince God so that He would show up as a controller and make the things and issues the way we want them to be. And He has never done this. When He was here in person, He didn't do this, and now we accept Him to do that. All of a sudden, like, Jesus would change His mind and show up as a boss and force His will on everybody. We have this twisted view of God, and that's why we behave like that. We can never behave better than what we think God is like. And we think God is like hopelessly trying to make His will happen. But the contrary is true. He doesn't want anything to happen. He just wants you to have life and enjoy it the way it is. And then He would show up at the right time when you're needing it the most. And He has this kind of silent mode. Yeah. He's so far away from forcing anything. And this is the deal. Today I just realized that all these things, like what I think God's will and what the other people think God's will is, doesn't even matter. Because God is like, it's not A or B. It's where, from which place do you experience A or B? And He's like, come up here. My thoughts are so much higher than your thoughts, and my ways are so much higher than your ways. Come up here where I am. I am in love, and I am love, and there is no need for manipulation at all in the way of living where I am. And you can come up here and you can exist there, and you will realize that there is no need of manipulation at all. Many times when we see God's will, it's more about like we imagine God to be a controller, and we just want to justify our way of controlling things with God's authority. And we want just to put God's name on our endeavor to make things happen the way we want them to happen. Yeah. And many times what we think is God's leading is more like a revelation of our own desires, and God lets it happen. Like let us face with what we actually want. Like, you really want that kind of relationship, that kind of life. Yeah, this is my will. You can have it. I'm gonna be in it 100%. You can choose whatever you want. Just come up here. Just come up here where I am. Just live life from the place I live life. And then you will discover that choosing A or B doesn't even matter. And God is so humble. He bows before our concepts and beliefs and preconceptions all the time. And if we ask Him the stupid question of whether I should kill Jill or Joe, He will give some ideas, as He did give in the Old Testament, as absurd as it sounds. Because He always reduces Himself and His leadings to the level where we are at, but He also calling us, come up to the place where no control is needed. And He knows it's a slow thing to refuse control and love instead. Like, the whole humanity is turning back to God quite slowly, as you probably perceive it. But He thinks it's worth it. He could have done the controlling version in Jesus, and He refused to do so because He believes in not controlling. Actually, He couldn't do the controlling version because it's contrary to His nature. Yeah, these are the thoughts I have. In the way this revelation hit me, I'm talking to myself. If it's true to you, it's not my fault. I was just literally suffering, laying on my bed, trying to think about God, and all of a sudden it just hit me that actually I would really love to do what I think it's God's will, but there are so many contrary ideas of what God's will might look like in my life, and I just cannot make them come together. And then I felt like the whole concept of trying to find out such a will of God is contrary to the nature of God, because He is not just a plan. He's a way of being as well. It's not just about what to do and with whom. It's more about, like, are you as free as I am? Are you as much love as I am? Because these are my goals for you. And all of the other goals might happen. And even if you mess it up, I'm ready to give you a new plan. Yes, so these were the thoughts I had, and I had such a relief. Like, God is just, it's just not like God is trying to force me into one of His plans, but I'm silly to see it. It's just like God doesn't even have those questions. It's like, it's not the issue for God. God has way better issues for me than that. So, that's it. Love you guys. Bye.